Hey everybody, welcome back. So it was recently brought to my attention that I've got all these videos out there about like reading snake behavior and tapping them down, taking them out of the enclosures and whatnot. But I don't have a lot out there about how to handle them once they get out of the enclosure. And maybe you're not as comfortable with them as I am with old Charlie here. You don't really want them around your face. You're not really sure, how timid they are, how likely they are to bite. So we're going to go over some different handling techniques that you can use if you're not really familiar with the snake or you don't really trust them that much today on Intrepid Exotics. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. So today we're going to look at a couple different techniques of handling. And don't forget, guys, if you're enjoying seeing the animals, if you're enjoying learning about them, you're getting something out of it, don't forget, get down, get subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that cool stuff. It helps me out, helps the channel out, helps it get out to more people. Now this is it's kind of a tricky video for me to make. Treating my animals like I don't trust them, because as you can see here, these guys, all of my snakes, they're all over the place, they're all over next to my head and all that. And this one is taking my phone off of my belt. I wonder who he's trying to call. Let's see, let's get this off of here. Man, really, bud? There, get off of there. So if you're worried about the snake that you've got, it's really kind of a double-edged sword with them. It's a real big catch-22, because one of the biggest tools that we've got when we're working with our animals is keeping them supported, keeping them comfortable, letting them feel safe, letting them feel like they trust us, and that's how we build that relationship with them. Now with mine, the way I do that is just like you can see, or I've got Charlie here, I've got his body draped over me, of course, I've got my throat protected so he's not wrapped all the way around it, and just letting him go and explore wherever he wants to. Now if you're with an animal that's a little bit less predictable, you're not familiar with, something like this can be kind of unnerving, because a lot of snakes, when they get ready to bite you, is they'll start wrapping this tail up around you. And they'll get that thing wrapped up, and then they'll turn around and they'll lay into you. They'll also do that when they're just trying to secure themselves and go out and check stuff out. So it's one of those body language things that can be interpreted a couple different ways. But if you're working with one and you're really kind of leery about having them up by your head, then what you can do is you can just let their tail kind of drape over your shoulder, and then have the rest of them hanging out here, and then you can kind of control their head. Now you're going to want to pay attention to their body language if you're working with a snake that you're not familiar with. If this tail starts going up around your neck or starts wrapping your arm really quick, then you'll definitely want to stay on point and be aware of that and react accordingly. Take that thing off and start to slide them down. But what I'll do with Charlie here is he keeps wanting to climb up to my shoulders, and as he goes to look for something, you're going to use turning your body a lot when you're trying to really watch their head and manage it. Like he's wanting to go that way, so I'm going to turn him around, and as he starts to look towards something, look like he's coming back towards me, I'm going to kind of turn with him. I'm just going to kind of guide his head, and I've still got him supported. I'm not grabbing him or anything. I'm still got open hands. I may lay my fingers over him, but I'm not latching onto him like that, because a snake that might be a little edgy may not respond really well to being grabbed. They may be head shy. You may want to be really careful about touching their head, because, of course, Charlie doesn't care. He likes to be scratched behind the ears that he doesn't have. But for the most part, all you really got to do is just kind of guide the first third of their body when you're working with them. Man, you can see I'm kind of behind his head. If this was a really spicy snake, I wouldn't have my arm like this, because he would be turning around to bite me. And like I said, it's hard to kind of show with an animal that's peaceful, that's comfortable, that trusts me, how to act with one that's a little bit afraid, or one that may be trying to bite you. It's all hypothetical stuff. You can kind of talk through it, but until you've got one in your hands, it's actually trying to do that. It can be hard to show sometimes. But, you know, and you can see right here, he's still just hanging on, but that tail's starting to go around my neck a little bit. That might make people feel a little bit uneasy. But like I said, instead of, you know, letting them just curl up over your shoulder like he wants to, like this, if you're crazy, you know, and this stuff like this too, when they slide off of you and stuff, it really goes to show how tolerant these animals really are. I mean, and how much they trust you. I think there's a lot of that involved in it as well, because, you know, the snake's not worried about getting hurt. He knows I'm going to keep him up, and, you know, if he slides off and flings around all over the place. But again, you know, if you don't want them up around your shoulders, the only thing you really got to focus on is controlling that first third of their body like that. And when they start turning back around towards you, you just kind of turn with them. You know, you may be looking like you're a ballerina for a little while. You're letting them check stuff out. And you just kind of move with them a little bit. Let them dictate what you do. Kind of respond to what they do. See how he's turning his head back around? And I'm just kind of turning with him. If he's trying to focus on you to do something, he's not going to be able to. Now see how he's starting to loosen his grip with his tail? He doesn't feel like he's in control right now, so he's repositioning that tail, getting a better position to something where he feels like he can, you know, zero in on where he wants to go. But this is a really good way to keep him away from your face. Now I've got, Charlie's pretty mellow. Now like I said, I'm just going to kind of sit here and pirouette with him for a second, just so you can kind of see that natural management of their head when they're moving around. But I'm going to go ahead and put him in the bin for a second, and I'm going to take out my Orangeglow Phantom male reticulated python, who's a lot speedier, who's a lot quicker on a draw, and I'm going to go ahead and treat him just as if he was an unfamiliar snake. And it's a lot easier with him because, one, he's a retic, and they're 100 miles an hour all the time. And two, he's one of my newest snakes, so I've got the least amount of time working with him and the weakest relationship with him. So let me put Charlie away. Come on, let go of everything, bud. These guys, I tell you, these boas are just amazingly strong. Awesomely strong animals. That's why I can't wait to get... Come on, bud. You gotta work with me. Just that little kink in his neck, and he's hanging out for dear life. Get in the bin for a second, bud. Get in there. Really? He just got his tooth stuck on the inside of my pants. Are you for serious, bud? Alright, so this is my male retic here. And I'm going to treat him much the same as I would treat a snake that I'm not really comfortable handling. And as you can see with him, and he does this all the time, he's always got his back third of his body wrapped around something, because he likes to have that purchase and that little sense of security there. But, you know, he's wanting to just cruise around my body and so forth. He's not really trying to come up towards my head. But again, it's that first third of the body. You work on controlling that. He's starting to move up towards my head. I'll just start to push him out a little bit, let him check stuff out, and I'm just staying aware of where his head's at. You know, I don't have him up around my shoulders. I don't have to worry about him getting purchased there and then turning around on me. If he was to decide he wanted to bite me, like I said, he's got his tail wrapped up around me. But what I will do is I'll just continue to move with him. You know, and this is one of them times too where you definitely want to make sure that you've got somebody else with you if you're working with a snake that you're not really familiar with, because if he was to get aggressive and if he was going to start coming at me, I would probably need help getting him off this arm, because I'd need to use the other one to kind of manage his head and steer him around. And if he starts getting aggro, then I'm calling my buddy up and I'm saying, hey man, can you go ahead and can you get this tail for me? And let him unwrap the tail while I'm kind of moving around and getting him down. But of course, got a good relationship with this guy too, so I'm not terribly worried about it. And you can see, as soon as I get his body up here, see what he does with his tail? He's loosening that up. He's comfortable. He's attached right there. Kind of going around my leg and stuff like that. All they're looking for is security when they're doing that. They just want to make sure that they're not going to fall, that they're not going to get hurt, and all that. And again, you know, you can still keep their back third over your shoulder or something if you want to, just knowing that they've got that purchase here, and it might be a little bit more difficult if they decide they want to start turning around on you. But you really can't go wrong when you're working with these guys by letting them believe that they're in control of everything. So they're going to want to anyway. So as his head turns, I'm just going to turn with him. He's wanting to go over there. And I'm just going to kind of let him go and check stuff out up until the point where he starts to extend himself out too much. And then I'm just going to move him in a different direction. See how he pulls back on me? And he's pulling back closer to me until he figures out what he wants to go look at next. So, now he wants to go over there. Now he wants to go over there again. So if you've got equilibrium issues, this might be kind of tough for you. But you just got to dance with them. And like I said before, anytime you see me handling, one, I'm moving at the same speed that the snake is. There you go. Get over there. And I'm not grasping them. It's open palms, it's the back of my hands, stuff like that. And I'm just guiding them where I want them to go as best I can. Get up here, we're done. You can hang out now. But you know, after you've had them like that for a little while, and they've kind of run themselves out and whatnot, I feel pretty comfortable, even with this guy. You know, you can see he's kind of chill now. He just wants to hang out and talk to everybody. See? You ready to take a break? Not feel like you're just hanging out there flapping? So yeah, guys, like I said, I just wanted to go over a little bit of some handling techniques once you get them out of the enclosure. You know, if it's an animal that you're comfortable with and you've handled a lot, you know, this is all going to kind of be white noise to you, I think, because we all just pick our snakes up and throw them over our shoulders and say, hey, come out and do whatever you want to. I do the same thing with my big retics too, except it's a little bit harder on the back. But yeah, I hope that helped a little bit. If you got any other questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them down in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead and throw up here another video on retic handling. It's probably going to be another one where you're working with them in the cage and whatnot, but I'll see if I could find one that I think fits in really good with this one. You can check that one out. And we'll see you guys next time on Intrepid Exotics.